The boxes hit the floor of my bedroom with a dull thud. My father's face was flushed with fury as he hurled the last of my belongings inside. 2 weeks of moping around after losing your job, that's enough. You're 23, Olivia, time to grow up and stop being useless. I didn't respond. I just stood there, silent, watching as he dismantled my life. Years of engineering books, late-night prototype sketches, even the little robot I'd built in college, tossed into boxes like junk. In the doorway, my mother crossed her arms, her mouth drawn into a tight, disappointed line. "We gave you everything," she said coldly, "and this is how you repay us, getting fired from the only decent job you've ever had?" But I hadn't been fired, I quit. Morton Engineering stole my design for a next-gen solar panel system. When I called them out, they offered me a deal: shut up and take a promotion, or walk away. I chose to walk, chose integrity over a paycheck. In my parents' eyes, that made me a failure. "Your brother just made partner at his law firm," my father added, voice laced with disdain. "Your sister's about to be chief resident at Boston General, and you can't even hold down a basic engineering job." The words stung, but they weren't new. I'd been the disappointment since childhood. While my siblings checked all the right boxes, law, medicine, prestige, I followed my passion for sustainable energy, a path they never took seriously. "We're done supporting you," my father said, shoving a box toward the door. "You've got until tonight to leave. Go waste your life somewhere else." They left, slamming the door behind them. I sat down on the bare mattress, tracing the worn edge of my latest design notebook. Inside were the plans no one in this house had ever cared to understand, blueprints that could transform how cities harness solar energy. Morton had recognized the potential immediately. That's why they stole it. They'd assumed I'd stay quiet. They'd misjudged me, just like my family always had. All I had to my name was $3,427, an aging Honda Civic, and a dream no one believed in. But sometimes, that's enough. The first call I made was to Dr. Sarah Chen, my favorite professor from college. "I need advice," I told her. "Morton stole my design, but I have something new, something better." There was a pause. "Come to my office tomorrow," she said, "and bring your notebooks." That night, I loaded the boxes into my car while my parents watched in silence. My sister, still in hospital scrubs, shook her head. "You could have had a good career if you just followed the rules." My brother didn't look up from his phone. "When you're ready to grow up, there might be a filing job at the firm." I drove away knowing I'd never come back, not as the person they thought I was. Dr. Chen's office was just as I remembered, chaotic, brilliant. She listened as I explained the new design, an ultra-efficient solar array that doubled output and halved space requirements. "Morton had the resources to build your first idea," she said, flipping through my sketches. "But this?" She tapped the notebook. "This could change everything. Have you patented it?" I shook my head. "I can't afford the fees." She smiled and picked up her phone. "Let me call someone. He's interested in more than patents." That someone was James Wilson, a venture capitalist known for backing clean tech startups. We met at a modest cafe. Jeans, t-shirt, plain black coffee. He was nothing like the suits at Morton. "Dr. Chen says you've built something remarkable," he said. "Show me." For the next hour, I laid it all out, the science, the potential, the risks. He asked hard questions, pushed back on my assumptions. Then he leaned back and nodded slowly. "Here's the deal," he said, sliding a folder across the table. "Funding, legal support, a team to help develop and patent your tech. In return, I get 30% equity in the company you build." I opened the folder. The number inside made my heart race. "Why?" I asked. He smiled. "Because real innovation doesn't come from following rules. It comes from people crazy enough to believe they can change the world." 1 month later, Titan Industries was born. We began in a cramped warehouse, just me and 3 engineers who shared my vision. I lived on an air mattress tucked behind stacks of whiteboards and prototype parts, working 18-hour days fueled by caffeine and defiance. Every screw turned, every schematic tested, was a step toward proving my family wrong. The first prototype shattered expectations. The second drew attention from major energy companies. By the end of our first year, Titan Industries had secured contracts with 2 major cities for pilot programs. I never changed my phone number, but it never rang. Through mutual acquaintances, I heard the familiar echoes of dismissal. "Olivia, she's running some little startup. It won't last." They didn't know their useless daughter had just closed a $50 million funding round. They didn't know the so-called disappointment was now leading a company with over 100 employees. They didn't know the girl they kicked out was revolutionizing clean energy. But they were about to find out. 5 years after I left home, I sat in my corner office on the 30th floor of Titan Tower, reviewing acquisition proposals. My assistant, Emma, knocked on the door. "Miss Bennett, your brother's firm just submitted a meeting request. It's urgent. Wellington Industries is trying to acquire Morton Engineering, but they need Titan's approval to transfer the patents Morton's been licensing from us." I looked up, eyebrows raised, as a smile tugged at my lips. Morton Engineering, the company that stole my first design, was circling the drain. Wellington, one of my parents' most valued clients, wanted to bail them out, but they couldn't do it without me. "Set up the meeting," I said, "but don't tell them who they'll be meeting with. Let them assume it's just a junior exec." Emma tilted her head. "Main boardroom?" "No," I said, "book the executive boardroom, and make sure the cameras are on. I want to remember this." I turned to the window, watching the city skyline glow in the morning sun. In 2 hours, my family would walk into a room expecting control. They had no idea who they'd be sitting across from. An hour later, Emma reappeared. "They're here, your parents, your brother, and the Wellington execs are in the lobby." I smoothed my suit jacket, checked my reflection, and smiled. Let them wait. 10 years ago, they made me feel small. Today, they could feel what that was like. 15 minutes passed, then Emma's voice came through the intercom. "They're in the boardroom now, your father's, not pleased about the delay." "Perfect, let's begin." I took the private elevator up, the click of my heels echoing against marble floors. Through the glass walls of the boardroom, I saw them, my father, red-faced and fuming, my brother, flipping through a legal pad, my mother, rigid and pale, just as I remembered them, only older, and smaller somehow. The room fell still when I entered. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then, my father blanched, my mother gasped, and my brother fumbled his pen to the floor. "Olivia," my mother whispered. I walked calmly to the head of the table and took my seat. "Welcome to Titan Industries," I said. "I believe you're here about the Morton acquisition?" My brother blinked, then leaned forward. "There must be a mistake. We're expecting Titan's CEO." "You are," I said. "I founded Titan 6 years ago. Those patents you're so eager to transfer, I created them. The technology Morton's been licensing, mine. And the signature you need, that's mine, too." Mr. Wellington, seated beside my father, blinked in confusion. "Bennett, you never mentioned your daughter was." "They didn't know," I said coolly. "They were too busy calling me a failure to notice what I was building." My father stood abruptly, face flushed. "Now see here, Olivia." "No," I said, cutting him off. "You see here, you're in my boardroom, you need my approval, so sit, and listen." He sank into his chair, stunned into silence. I opened the folder before me. Morton Engineering is currently valued at roughly $50 million, down from $300 million 5 years ago. Know why? Because they based their growth on stolen tech, mine, but they couldn't recreate my newer work, the innovations that made Titan worth $4.2 billion. My brother's mouth fell open. My mother's hands tightened on the armrests of her chair. "Wellington wants to acquire Morton for $75 million, I continued, "a generous offer for a company hemorrhaging relevance. But here's what none of you know." I paused, letting the silence stretch. "Titan has already made a competing offer, through a shell subsidiary, $100 million. My brother stiffened. "That's impossible." The paperwork had been filed that morning. Morton's board had already accepted Titan's offer. I didn't need to be there. I wanted to be. I wanted to say it myself. Mr. Wellington stood, adjusting his tie. "Well, it seems we've wasted our time, Bennett. You could have mentioned your daughter was the competition." "He didn't know," I said with a smile. "He was too busy telling everyone I was a disappointment." As the Wellington executives filed out, my father finally found his voice. "Olivia, we should talk about this, about us, as a family." "Family?" I laughed. "You threw me out, said I was wasting my life." I gathered the folder in front of me, my voice steady. "The day you kicked me out, I had just turned down a promotion at Morton. They offered me a 6-figure deal to stay quiet after stealing my design. I chose integrity. You called it failure. My mother reached out, tentative. I didn't let her touch me. The acquisition announcement goes out tomorrow. Morton's offices will be cleared by month's end. That building, I turned and pointed to the window, where their once proud Morton headquarters loomed. It'll be renamed Titan Tower 2. My name is going right at the top, just big enough for you to see it on your way to work. But, we're your parents, my mother whispered. No, I said quietly. You're just people who happen to share my DNA. Parents believe in their children. Parents don't punish them for having a backbone. I pressed the intercom. Emma, please show our guests out, and cancel my dinner plans, I have celebrating to do. As security led them away, I heard my father's voice, sharp with disbelief. She can't do this, she's just a... I turned without looking back. Just what? Useless? A failure? Keep watching, I'm just getting started. That night, alone in my office, I pulled out an old photo album. A younger version of me smiled from the pages, clutching a homemade robot, eyes full of hope, surrounded by a family who wouldn't meet her gaze. Another photo, my graduation, engineering honors in hand, my siblings threw elaborate parties, I had dinner alone. My phone buzzed, a message from Dr. Chen. Just saw the Morton deal, congratulations, you did it. I smiled, she had believed in me when no one else did. Want to help me build something new? I texted back, thinking even bigger this time. Her reply was immediate. Always. Also, your parents just called me asking about Titan. I told them what I tell all my students, success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. I looked out over the city, powered in part by my technology, shaped by my refusal to give in. Getting kicked out was the best thing they ever did for me. Sometimes, you have to lose a family to build an empire. The next morning, headlines lit up. Titan Industries acquires Morton Engineering in $100 million deal. Young CEO reshapes energy sector with groundbreaking vision. Some articles traced the scandal, how Morton had once stolen my designs. Others focused on Titan's meteoric rise from a warehouse startup to a global leader in sustainable energy. At home, my family's phones rang off the hook. The daughter they once disowned had become the story of the year. Messages poured into my inbox, former classmates, long-lost relatives, and distant acquaintances, all eager to reconnect. I archived every one. Except one. A message from my young cousin, Lisa. I want to be an engineer too. But everyone says I should pick something more practical. Would you talk to me? I replied. Come by my office tomorrow. Bring your ideas. And ignore anyone who tells you they're too big. Because the best kind of revenge isn't about getting even. It's about breaking the cycle. It's about becoming the person you needed when no one believed in you. As for my parents, I heard they take a different route to work now. They can't stand seeing my name on the side of 2 skyscrapers.